I just came out to my Christian dad. He just shuddered and said, I never want to hear about your sex life, whether you're freaking guys or girls. Reddit. What is the most unexpectedly comforting thing someone has said to you? After getting divorced, my ex-mother-in-law told me, even though I have always hated you, you deserve better than that horrible human being I am responsible for mothering. I hope you find someone better, or die in a car accident. Either way is good with me. I think we might have a winner here, folks. My parents are very Asian. I was worried when my mom met my first girlfriend, who was white. She looked at me and said in Chinese, I've decided I want blonde grandchildren. My sister asked my mom what she thought of this new marriage amendment. Her reply was, if gay people want to lose half their crap in a divorce, let them. I had something similar with my coming out experience. One of my best friends was fairly homophobic, always making comments about F and about how they weren't human. Why was he my best friend? Because when we were kids, he was the one who always stood up for me and helped me come out of my rather shy and socially awkward shell. Once I came out, though, he tracked me down and told me that apparently people were spreading rumors that I was gay, but I shouldn't worry, because the next person who said that was going to get beaten up. That only made me feel worse when I had to tell him the so-called rumors were actually true. Surprisingly, all he did was groan, facepalm, clap a hand on my shoulder and say okay, just don't tell me about anything. Alright, I haven't heard a gay slur out of him since. Then he beat you up for being the next person to say you were gay. My first day of high school, my dad, if you come home drunk, S-faced, high, stoned, whatever, I will still give you a home and love you. But come home and tell me you made a girl pregnant. Find a new home, because I'm telling you right now, use protection. It's the weird things like that that sometimes show you your parents care more than their routine drive safe or love you. Thanks, Dad. When I went off to college, my dad said, son, it's okay to go to war. Significant pause. It's okay to dive into the trenches. More significant. Super awkward pause. Just remember, every good soldier wears his helmet. From the next room, my mom yells, just give him the box of condoms already. My father, for most of my childhood, was pretty hard on me about my schoolwork. He never beat me or anything, but he was always pretty stressed out from working 2 jobs, and being that both he and my mother graduated from Georgia Tech and are very intelligent people, so he had pretty high expectations from the start. It didn't help that my big brother, while incredibly smart, was also incredibly lazy, and so dropped out of college his first year. So anyway, my dad was always hard on me about my grades. Whenever I got so much as a B, he would lecture me, angrily, about how I could do better than this, and if I got a C or a D, he'd yell for a good half hour about how I was being lazy and wasting my potential. So in 9th grade I got my first F. It was during the 2nd semester, and I was dealing with lots of social problems, with the bully pushing me around, and occasionally lighting my crap on fire, a friend of mine that had been diagnosed with cancer, and a girlfriend who had decided she'd like to smoke pot and sleep around on the weekends. This, combined with a lack of sleep during that time, and I was already stressed out, so when I saw the 53 on my report card, I almost had a breakdown. I knew my dad would want to see my report card, and would get more pee off if I hid it from him, so I left it on the kitchen table and hid in my room for the rest of the day. He brought me down a plate of spaghetti for dinner that night, sat down on my bed beside me, and sighed, kiddo, I'm not gonna yell. I wish you had done better this semester, and I know you can do better than you did. You're a smart freaking kid, and if you work at it, I know you'll be able to do anything you put your mind to. I just wanted you to know that, no matter what happens, no matter how much you succeed, or how badly you do at something, I'm always in your corner, and I'll always be just a little while away. If you ever need anything, I'm here for you, bud. That was something that took me a few years to understand, even though my parents said it a few times. Going to say it to my kids too, and I hope that they understand it sooner than I did. One of my friends once told me that her girlfriend had a major crush on me in middle school. I didn't know I was capable of being even remotely appealing in that weird phase. I discovered after leaving high school that there was a small horde of girls in my year and the year below who fancied the ass off me. I, like you, didn't think I was attractive back then, but apparently I was. I was gutted when I found out. Well, when I came out to my mum, her words were, oddly enough she used the phrase a lot during my life. Okay, just don't do anything stupid. Oddly enough she used the phrase a lot during my life. You say it like it's over. I was going to kill myself the day I met you. When my brother came out to me, before anyone else in our family, he was freaking out. So I got him drunk and wingmaned him at some gay bar. Was uncomfortable at first pulling for him, but I've never been very good at pulling in general. I bet he could probably give you pointers on pulling now. When I was 17 I got thrown out of my house because I kept drinking and using drugs. A couple years later I was allowed to move back in, and after a while the same result. This may have happened another time or two. My memory is a little fuzzy. My oldest brother also lived there through most of his 20s, and being the self-centered, finger-pointing ingrate that I couldn't understand why he could stay and I kept getting kicked out. Probably had something to do with the fact that he wasn't a drug addict and could be trusted, but I didn't see it that way. To me, they were playing favorites and it wasn't fair to me. My dad and I met for dinner one night, and I asked him why. Why can he stay? Why can you just throw me away? Now my dad was the best kind of man you'd ever want to be your father, so I don't know why I expected him to throw a laundry list of my faults as a person in my face as justification for kicking me out. That's not the man he was, but I expected it nonetheless. Because I know that, no matter what, you'll be okay. You can take care of yourself. I was still in my active addiction when he died too young, but those words helped me when I began my recovery journey. The best part is that, as seemingly always, he was right. It took another 10 years or so, and he didn't live to see it, but today I have 3 years clean from drugs and alcohol. I've still got issues to deal with, but I can honestly say that today, no matter what, I'm okay. He's proud. Someone asked me how long I had been together with my boyfriend. I told her a little over 2.5 years, and she smiled at me and said, "Wow, good for him," with such sincerity that it really filled me up and made me blush. Simple exchange, and I have had almost the exact same thing said to me back at home. The only difference was the last word, you, instead of him. It makes a big difference. Whenever I tell people I've been with my boyfriend for almost 3 years I get on too tired of him, and it really just pisses me off. Obviously I'm not if I'm still with him. We've matured a lot together and everything feels like it's improved with time. I was probably 14 years old and upset for some emo reason or another, and said to my slightly older guy friend, "I've never even French kissed a boy." He responded with, "That's okay, neither have I." I was oddly comforted. This makes me think of the scene from Scott Pilgrim. In high school, I wrote a paper on Native Americans or something like that, and handed it in. It took me 30 minutes, and I did it quickly and haphazardly. My teacher graded it with an F, because I plagiarized it, but I didn't. I was super pissed off, and knowing that I actually wrote it I stomped off to the principal's office to complain, and just left class in front of everybody. A history teacher who I had in the past and would have again, and was my favorite teacher throughout childhood, found out about this and told me simply, "If you didn't plagiarize it, then you should be proud, Mrs. B thought you did." I think about that every so often, and after writing professional emails or whatever, I'm always complimented on my writing style. Reddit excluded from that, of course. I'm terrible at writing papers. I had totally forgotten about an N102 rough draft due later that day. I quickly balls 4 pages and send it in. The professor tells me that, while I miss the point of the paper, I didn't even have the prompt with me when I wrote it, that my actual writing was good, even though I had to rewrite the entire paper. I got a huge confidence boost from that. The best thing in the world is doing well on something you thought you completely bombed. A few months ago, I had developed a fear of falling asleep. When it was late at night and I was in bed and trying to fall asleep, my mind would start bringing up thoughts of death and I would get anxious at the possibility that I could die in my sleep and wouldn't wake up. Well, on one of my late night online gaming sessions with one of my friends on Skype, we finally got to the subject of why I was struggling in school, and I had to admit to him why I was struggling to wake up early as well as why I couldn't fall asleep. So I told him, and my friend, in a typical smart butt manner said, "Well Fluffy, until now, how many times have you ever died in your sleep?" Well, oddly enough, that flawed logic smart butt answer really did help me get over my fear of falling asleep, and although it was too late to fix my semester of school, most of it at least, it managed to help me get rid of the whole sleep problem. I'll follow you wherever you go. Context: my boyfriend, while still in school, telling me to look beyond a 30-minute radius for a good job. The context was certainly quite important there, lol. Son, I trust you and I'm proud of you, but if I come back to my house and you are having a party where my house is being destroyed, I will kill the first person I can catch. My dad when going on vacation with my mom. Well, I was plenty careful when having parties over our house. Project X. Everyone dies eventually, that's just what happens. My mother told me this when I was 8 years old when I was worrying that everyone is going to die around me. For me it was a comforting sentence because I realized I was not going to be left alone here and others who I love would be going after me too. If you drop out of college like I did, I swear I will beat your butt every day until you get your crap together. Older brother. My mother died when I was very young, so growing up it was me, my brother, and my dad. I always thought my dad was an amazing father. I mean, he raised 2 kids by himself. However, he never really quite knew how to relate to a 7-year-old girl, so my brother always got a lot of the attention. Well, he joined the army out of high school, did a lot of tours overseas, got a Purple Heart, and was kind of hero in our hometown. Many things to be proud of. I've done many things to be proud of too, but just never really got any recognition. So one day I'm shooting the crap with my dad and out of nowhere he says, "If there is one thing your brother never could have done, it's get a college degree like you did. Thanks for making me proud." Let me start with my father raised me as a single man. We didn't have the best communication but it was there. I came home from a buddy's one night and he said as I walked in the door, "Junior, come here." Usually this is not a good sign. I walk into our living room and he plays chicken noodle soup's fathers telling their son I love you. Shortly after he said, "You've been the best boy I could ask for. Keep it up." This has pushed me into a lot of good decisions since. Thanks Dad. RIP. My stepmother every year reminds me to visit my mother's grave, and every time I am reminded of how lucky I am to have a stepmother as understanding as her. "Don't worry about life. You're not going to survive it anyway," said the internet. But I consider the internet my friend. My only friend. One of my co-workers likes to say, "Don't take life too seriously. You'll never get out alive." My dad hates teachers and is hard to make proud. I remember years ago right before college I decided to change my major from psych to education and he said, "I believe that's a great fit for you." Knowing that he hates teachers, I give him crap. But I kicked butt in college, graduated at the top of my class at one of the best colleges of education in my state, got a master's degree and I am now the most bad butt teacher ever. I didn't expect him to support my decision, yet he did and it will always be a pivotal moment in my life. As a tall female, 6'3", I got made fun of a lot in high school. The usual stuff. Heck, adults still say stupid things to me now, but as a kid it was really hard to take. I would come home upset almost daily and tell my mom what the kids said to me in tears. One day, I think I was around 14 or 15, I told her a new story and she herself was on the verge of tears. She said she was so sorry I had to go through this, but she wanted a daughter so badly. It never occurred to me how hard it must have been for my mother to hear me tell her these things all of the time and to not be able to do anything about it. It changed my mindset and I was able to deal with the comments a lot better and I stopped letting it hurt me so much so my mom wouldn't have to hurt too. Also, people are stupid, so they can suck it. One of my best guy friends is 6 feet 8 inches and he gets a lot of comments. One time while we were walking someone stopped him and asked if he could get a picture with him. The guy was so excited because he apparently had never seen anyone that tall before. My friend was so peeved but he took the picture like the champ he is. conversation at the dinner table. Dad, I'd rather you come home and say you're lesbian than come home and say you're pregnant. Mom, OMG, don't say stuff like that. You're not a lesbian, are you? Dad, hush. Was never in a closet, but good to know Dad would have had my back. Sorta. It's only a good thing until you come home pregnant. Then your dad will go on about how you should have been a lesbian. I played high school football. One week, I was starting WR. I was so excited, since this was only my second start. Suddenly, I got really sick. Like 104 fever, nausea, migraine, etc. I called my coach and told him I couldn't make it to the game since I could barely crawl my sick butt out of bed. I was worried he was gonna call me a P or something. This is a common insult if you are hurt. He told me take as long as you need. Your health is more important to me as a game. When I went out for some quiet drinking with a couple of friends, my dad stopped me in the hallway as I was leaving, saying, "Son, remember, whatever happens, no matter what kind of mess you make, no matter who you pee off, I'm never farther away than a phone call. No matter what time of the day, call if you're in trouble, and I'll come and sort it out." My father has always been very secluded towards the family, and that little speech absolutely broke my heart. To know that he'll always be there if I need him means a lot to me. A simple "we'll always be there for you" from my parents when I was bedridden, mid-flare up, and depressed thanks in part to the medication. Not me, but a guy I know. So I went to a Catholic high school, and a goofy butt friend of mine went to confession with one of the priests. The priest is a really dry, grumpy guy. At the confession, my friend confessed that he masturbates frequently, and that he is trying to quit. The priest responds with, "Good luck." I now picture it in the taken voice. One day I was feeling really down and weird because my current GF has just broken up with me, but my ex-GF wanted me back. I didn't want her. I told my dad how this crap always happened. One girl would unexpectedly break up with me and they always said, "Well, you are just not what I thought you were," but then later, after months of heartache on my part, they would want me back. He just looks at me and says, "Because every woman dreams of a man who is better than you," but after a while they realize they will never meet one. Changed the way I view myself. My mom once said to me, "Yeah, you're chubby but you're gorgeous, so get your fat butt on a treadmill and you'll be good to go." I am still on the treadmill. I really wish my mom had been that honest with me. I was home for spring break from college one year, having martinis with my parents and getting a bit tipsy, and about the time we sat down to watch bad horror movies and eat ice cream, I got brave enough to say, "You know, one day I may bring home a girlfriend to introduce to you all instead of a boyfriend." That door swings both ways. I was terrified at how they might react, but they both looked at me for a second and said, "Well, duh. Was that supposed to be a secret or something?" Gave me all kinds of warm fuzzies. I'm in pharmacy school and have had kind of a rough semester, resulting in some relatively crappy grades. I was talking to my mom about it and she said, "Hey, being the dumbest kid in pharmacy school is a lot cooler than being the best burger flipper." Not to me, but it was about me. My father wants to take me and my brother on a trip to the US when he turns 60, so we met and planned a little. I said that I am not sure if it will really work because of my job situation and my health. I have MS, so it's all a bit unpredictable. My brother argued with me about that a bit and I had to go to the bathroom. When I came back, my brother had obviously argued about that with my father. My father saw me coming to the table and broke the argument with my brother off with, "It's not just a common cold, so stop it." I believe my father thinks I didn't hear that sentence, but I did. My dad took me out for a dude's day about a week ago after a long 2 months of college life. When he dropped me off, he did his usual "see ya, love ya, bye." But as I was walking away, I heard the screech of tires, the car being put in reverse, and my dad pulling back up to the curb. He honked his horn to get my attention, and I complied and came to the car. He rolled down the window, looked me dead in the eye and said, "Be good," with the biggest smile I have ever seen on him. I was shocked that he went to all that trouble just to say that, and it has still kept me thinking if there is more to it than just the parental aspect kicking in. I'm gay too. Let's make out. When I was 8 years old, My dad and I are watching football. I don't really know why, but I start thinking about dying and how no matter what, in 70 or 80 years, I'll be dead. So I get sad. I tell my dad my thoughts and he just sits silently. After I'm done rambling and all worked up, we just sit for what feels like an eternity. I'm so worked up and I just want answers about life. Wanna go get some ice cream? Then we went and got ice cream. I have no idea why that made me feel better, but it did. I felt like a loser because of the job I have. My wife told me, I don't care what you do as long as it's moral, ethical, and legal, and provides enough money. I just want you to be happy. After I failed calculus in high school, I was distraught because I had never even gotten a C in a class before. My dad sat me down, looked me in the eyes and said, "Son, it doesn't matter one goddamn whether you know calculus or not. You will never use that in your life ever again." 7 years later I'm in law school, and I've yet to use calculus one goddamn time. Crash course in calculus for lawyers. Value of the function equals the amount you have on your bank account. Derivative slope of the function equals how much this amount rises every second you listen to someone telling you they don't want to pick up the soap in jail. Context: it's Halloween and I'm 17 and going to a coffee house with a friend. 3 or 4 rounds of this between my father and I after asking him if I can go. "If you need a ride, call me. No questions asked. I'm going to a coffee house." "Dad, no, really. If you need a ride, call me." It finally ended with him saying something close to, "You're really going to a coffee house? It's Halloween." This implication that I was expected to be partying despite my previous lack of doing so was comforting in the "I love you no matter what" sort of easy. When I came out, my best friend told me, "I was homophobic before you came out, but you're my best friend." So I changed how I felt. I don't care if you're gay. That's meant more to me than almost anything, honestly. A number of years ago, while I was deciding to enlist into the military, I had been telling my dad about a job I was looking into. Technically I wasn't lying, but he probably figured it was a grocery store gig or something. Anyway, one day I was unloading the dishwasher and my dad was sitting there watching TV and drinking a beer. He asked me, "How's that job prospect looking?" I stopped unloading the washer and paused for a moment before responding, "Well, Dad, there's something I've been meaning to tell you." My dad then turns down the volume and looks at me sternly. "I'm thinking about dropping out of college and joining the military." I continued, "Steve, I thought you were going to tell me you were gay." I love my dad. "Dude, if we lived near each other I'd totally be your girlfriend." From a female friend. It brought a smile to this kissless virgin's face. One day in my high school years, as my mom was driving us to a restaurant for lunch, "Lunette, I'm glad you aren't a fricked up kid." She didn't know I was going through a suicidal depression. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.